Welcome once again to your update from the city of New Hope. Time to have our weekly chat with the mayor, Kathi Hemken, to find out what's new in the city and what's coming up. Welcome, Mayor. How are you today?
Hi, Dave. Just fine, thanks. What's new is rain on Christmas Day.
How
Who
about
would
that?
ha- who would have thought?
And that golf course behind you, it's not quite that green, but it is greening up.
It is. It is. It's kind of sad, actually. The ducks are back, but the geese are gone.
Mm-hmm. It is a
The,
strange time of the year, but it has been great for one group, and that's the people doing road construction and other construction around the city. Mayor, let's begin on the roads and talk a little bit about 42nd Avenue, where that sits right now and some of the things that might still need to be done next year.
well, the big thing is getting the bridge, and it looks like the bridge is in, and everybody says, "Oh, it's done." Well, it's not. What happens then is they go back and inspect, and any cracks or any misfortunes that have happened still have to be done. So they do what's called a punch list. They're going back and fixing what needs to be fixed now, and then in the spring they'll finish that all up with like grading and putting down seed and things like that. I know we still are having an ongoing thing with the curbing, but that's really the county that we're having that with. So whether or not that gets changed, we don't know.
So some stripes on the lane next year. And also, will there be a mill and overlay at that location as well? So there'll be a little work, but it'll be short, quick work.
Well, from Xylon to Winnetka, there'll be a mill and overlay. So
All right.
that piece of the road will get nice and fluffed up, so it'll look pretty. But typically, that's just a day job.
Right. All right. Let's move to the next big job on 169, and that takes us a little further south to 36. What's going to be happening there?
Okay, this is where I apologize profusely.
Right.
If you get into New Hope, you can't hardly get out. And now we're taking out the bridge on 36. I have to tell you that we are not taking that bridge out. That is a county road, 169, and they're taking that bridge out. We're just the recipients of it. So now that bridge will have the same problems that 42nd had, so it'll be closed for quite a while. You can't get on or off at 36. You'll have to use Winnetka or 42nd to get across, and Winnetka to get up and down. But again, that's going to be starting in the spring of 2024, and it's probably going to be all summer.
You know if that intersection will change at all once it is opened once again? Maybe that's something we can
Yeah.
research as we get further. That's a pretty tight intersection, so my guess would be it would stay the same.
I would guess, I don't know. I know that they're still in the consulting stages. So what happens is Hennepin County folks meet with our park and or our public works folks, and they kind of work that out. I don't really know, but once I do know, I'll let you know.
All right, we'll find out more. Let's move up 169 now to the north end of New Hope, and we've got some work going on there with the noise wall. What is the latest there? And understand they found something under the ground.
If it could go wrong, it probably will. So they're putting in a noise wall from Bass Lake Road up to 62nd. Well, they get up to about 3/4 of the way, and lo and behold, there's an old water main there that's not in use, but they didn't want to drill through the water main. So there's going to be a gap in the fence, I believe, and they'll go from Independence then on up to 62nd. That's the good news, I guess. The bad news is that you won't be able to get on 169 going north on Bass Lake Road. You'll still have to take that Boone or go down to 36 and get on there. So that won't be done until spring of 2024 either.
All right, or those that are adventurous can take the 3 loops and keep looping around, and you will eventually end up going north. You might be a little dizzy by the time you get there, but you
Yeah.
will end up going north. Let's move ahead to community development. A number of things going on here. One thing that happens at the end of the year is a calendar and coupon book comes out that you're encouraging residents to take a very close look at.
Well, there's something called a town planner. And on there, it lists, all the meetings that are in New Hope, the council meetings and the commission meetings. But the other thing is a lot of the businesses advertise in there. And at the bottom of the page are coupons for these businesses. So sometimes it's 10 or 20% off. There's also coupons for the ice arena and for the golf course. So if you didn't get a calendar, they tell me they mail them to every address. So if you're in an apartment, you'll still get one there. But if you didn't get it for whatever reason, you can go into City Hall. They have some extras there. You can pick one up, but they're really nice to have. And use those coupons because we want to support those businesses so they stay in New Hope.
Right, here's something that residents might not know about, and I just learned about today, the address and zoning map. I didn't know there was such a thing, and it needs to be updated on occasion. Give us some more information about that.
We have these gigantic maps. They're about 4 feet tall and about 3 feet wide. And they have every single address in New Hope. Well, what's happened in the last time they did it was 2018. And since then, we've done like Windsor Ridge and other housing developments where the addresses change. We've done some little zoning changes. So they're upgrading that map and then they'll print out new maps. And those new maps will be all over City Hall. All of the directors have them in their offices so they know where the house is they're speaking about.
Mhm.
But you can also get one if you absolutely want one.
Okay.
I think there's a cost to it. I don't know what it is. I would guess it's around $5 or $10. If you want to wallpaper your kitchen with a map of New Hope, I guess
Mhm.
you can do that. But just know that they are redoing the maps and so we'll know if you're in Windsor Ridge, we'll know you actually exist there.
Excellent. And if you want to find out more about that and check that out, newhopemn.gov is the city's website. Community development also involved very heavily in scattered site housing. Update you on a few properties here. The first is 3611 Louisiana. Huge amount of work going on here.
There is. So we have a buyer for that house. We've had that buyer for quite some time. So they poured the basement floor. Now, in my mind, they should have poured that floor first and built everything up from there. But apparently that's the last thing that gets poured after the blocks and all that other stuff is in. So that's done. And they're doing some internal fixing and not fixing, but putting in trim and stuff like that. So that house is getting close. Putting the insulation in this week, I believe.
All right, another house that's getting close is 4201 Boone, and this looks like it's in the waiting stage to have a buyer for this house. Why would they wait?
Well, they want to identify a buyer before they do some of the internal stuff, so that the buyer can pick out the color of the siding, what color they want their cabinets, the countertops, things like that. So they're doing the things that don't matter, if you will, in that house, but the things that do matter and the colors, they're waiting for a buyer to come by and as last I heard, they did not have a buyer yet for that one. I believe it's being listed for $469.
All right, we'll keep people updated on that property and others throughout the city. Business Networking Group, they are taking a little bit of break here, but back at it early in January. What is the next meeting topic and where will it be held?
January 3rd at 2 o'clock, and it'll be at City Hall, and it's being hosted by Rockin' Nutrition. If for no other reason, it's going to be fun to listen to what Rockin' Nutrition is. But there's a lot of exchanging of business cards. You do not have to be a business owner to come to that meeting. Just a lot of different groups are there. It's just kind of fun, actually. It's about an hour long. Get an update from the city. You get a little update from the host business, and then a little update on what the other business are doing in their area. So it's just it is a free meeting and it's fun. It's for the residents and businesses of Crystal and New Hope.
Speaking of businesses, there is one building in town that's very busy with new businesses, and you're encouraging residents to just stop by and take a look. Tell us a little more.
4124 Quebec. Now that's right directly across Quebec from the YMCA, next to Sheridan Sheet Metal. So it's a big white building with a bunch of little offices in there, and there's about 5 or 6 new occupancy certificates that have been issued. So it might be fun just to go in there and see who's there and what they're doing and the wide variety of places that are in there.
And who knows, maybe they'll be at the Business Networking Group meeting as well, so you can catch up with them there. But stop by that building to see what is new. Let's go to the police department, and you want to give a status report, and it's a great report on the Blue Santa event. How did it go?
So Blue Santa is put on by the police department, and they take toys that are donated from Mike and Allison Eisenberg from their Toy Fest. They take those toys and they buy some toys with cash they get, the toy drive they have. They take all those toys, and then they get some families, and they actually had 9 families this year, and they get the names of the kids in the families, and they get a wish list from these kids, and they actually go out and either get the toys from amongst the ones they have, or with the cash they have to buy some other ones. So I was there, and this little girl came in. All she wanted, she lost her teddy bear, and she wanted a great big teddy bear. And so they bought her this teddy bear that was bigger than her. And her little face just lit up. She just hugged
Wow.
that thing. She never let it go. So when you
Mhm.
can make that kind of an impact on a family, on a child at Christmas, how wonderful is that? So they had games and food and cake and cookies and all kinds of stuff. Big, big success.
A big thank you to all that gave and helped out with that event. Now, here's a neat one from the police department. Recently, the chief and an officer went out to lunch, and that may not be the big news, but is where they went to lunch and who they ate with. Tell us more.
Well, our police department really wants to be out in the community. And they think it's, and I do too, think it's really important that young people see the officers in a friendly setting. So if they ever have to see them in an unfriendly setting, they won't be so afraid of them. So these two officers, the chief and a community service officer, went to lunch at Spanish immersion school and had lunch. I could just see these two big guys with all their stuff on, sitting at these little tiny tables with these kids, just interacting with them. And what a great way for our police department to get out in the community and just share some of the joy and the love and make them feel like they're comfortable with the police officer.
Very true. All right, let's head to Public Works and find out what they're up to during this nice time of the year where they've got some extra time without the snow. And one of the things they're focusing on, I understand, is fire hydrants. What do they have to do with hydrants at this time?
You know, this group is just amazing to me. I mean, they're like the ultimate handyman. The stuff they do is just incredible. Well, they had a couple fire hydrants that had some automobile damage to them. So they were repairing them. They had one, they had to check the flow on the hydrant. So they did that. They go out and pick up all the picnic tables that are at all the shelters. They bring them back to Public Works and they fix whatever needs to be fixed. So they're busy doing that. They're building the outside frames for the ice arenas outside. We
Right.
can't put any water down. We can't put any, you can't flood them, but they need to have a frame to sit in. So they're out there doing that. And the smaller ash trees on the boulevard, they're out cutting those down too. So these guys are really busy.
Busy department. All right, we had the holiday season and we're upon it right now. And recently, one of the big programs in the city had some holiday fun. We've got some pictures here to show who are these young people that are having some holiday fun.
Well, at our ice arena, we have a dance program. And of course, the dance program has different age categories. I think the smallest age is like 3 or 4. So what they do is they take that whole age category and they have a holiday party for them. So they ask the kids to bring a gift to exchange and something for the food shelf. Well, all of these dancers, there's like 300 of them. All bring something for the food shelves, and they each have their own little party with their own group of friends. And it's just really cute to watch. And they take these pictures with all their feet together. They're sitting in a great big circle. So they're cute pictures.
Great time had by all. Not a great time for those, again, that are trying to skate outside. Do you have any idea of when we might have ice? I guess no one knows, right?
I might call Mother Nature tonight and find out. Yeah, are we ever going to get ice? You know, sometimes it gets below freezing, but the ground is so warm that nothing is freezing. So even if they put water down, and Mother Nature has been supplying us with a lot of water. So once it actually freezes, I think the ice is going to be great. They just got to get a few days of freezing. And quite frankly, I feel bad for the people that want to ice skate, but I don't feel bad for the below zero weather.
Right. I agree with that. Well, there may be more people wanting to go inside and play basketball because we know that's going to happen. And it's right now that some teams are being put together and it looks like the city looking for some maybe volunteers to help out.
They are. This is the time where they put the basketball teams together, but then they're looking for parent coaches. Last year, I know they gave the kids the kids whose parents were coaching, they gave the kids a discount on their fee to play. So you might want to become a coach. They'll train you how to be a coach. I think you get your own whistle, not sure, but I'm pretty sure they train you to do that. So if you want to be a coach, again, call Park and Rec at City Hall or go online and indicate that you want to be a basketball coach. And you don't have to know much about basketball.
Just
They give you the rules. They show you how to blow the
have
whistle.
some fun. Yep.
Just have fun.
There you see the website, newhopemn.gov. You can find out more about being a coach. Here's something that's a nice addition to the city by courtesy of the Minnesota Twins. What's happening at Lighted Field?
Well, the Twins have this thing called the Community Fund Grant, and we got $8,000. We always apply for all these grants. I mean, it doesn't hurt to apply, and sometimes we get the money. So we got $8,000 from the Twins, and we'll get some pitching equipment for lighted field. And so we'll buy that, and put that in up at lighted field.
More discussion about the ash trees, some notices going out to residents about the ash trees. What's that notice have to say?
Well, there's a couple things that happen. The big ash trees on the boulevard are taken down by a commercial company that we hire. But the smaller ash trees on the boulevard, we can take, when I say we, not me, my public works guys, can take those down. And so if they've got an orange dot on them, they're going around and taking those down. So you'll see some of that happening. Some of the stumps are still there. They're not all going to be able to get ground out before the winter hits, but they're doing as much as they can to get them. If you've got a stump in front of your house and they told you it was coming out and it hasn't been taken out, you might want to call the forester and tell them sometimes stuff falls off the list by accident. We need to know about that. The only way we can know is if you call us and let us know that it's still there. So you might see some folks out there cutting down trees, whether they're city folks or the ones we hired. We still have to take them all down. And I understand all of the ash trees have been taken down from the golf course.
Okay.
They did a whole bunch of them and now they came out last week. This is like a bonus for those companies
Mm-hmm.
to be able to work this long into the year. So they're trying to get as much done as they can because they get so busy in the spring.
Right. Let's talk a little bit more about the golf course again. The weather has been a little strange here. And rumor has it a few people might have played a few holes of golf, but most of the activity inside, everyone seeming to be having their holiday party there.
They did. Well, I have to tell you, I took my clubs and I played 2 holes. And it was rainy and icky and not very nice, but at least I could say I played in December. But the real key there is they've got the whole clubhouse decorated with lights and Christmas trees and a lot of holiday parties there. So there were 3 there this last weekend, and I'm sure they've got some scheduled for this weekend coming up. Really a nice place to have your holiday party. Holds about 70 people. You can bring in your own food. It's just a fun place and you don't have to clean the house.
Very nice. All right, let's head over to the ice arena. This is the hub of activity over this holiday weekend. A lot going on and a few things that are happening might change a few schedules. Bring us up to date there.
Well, this week and next week, there will be no skating on Friday and Sundays, but they're adding 2 new dates, the 2nd and the 4th of January from 11 to 1. And I think the kids will still be out of school. I'm not sure exactly who will be there. But now this is also a time for the high school kids to play. So this coming Wednesday, the high school boys will be playing the junior varsity at 5, the varsity at 7. And then on Thursdays, not Thursday, I think the girls are playing Thursday too, but they're also hosting a tournament from the 28th to the 30th there. So the high school girls are doing that. If you've never been to one of the high school games up at that arena, it's really, really fun to see. And I understand CCX did a really nice piece on the ice arena. So if you want to see the glories of the ice arena, that's the place to go. CCX to look at it.
Here's a few shots of that and goes over some of the history of how the railroad helped out with that property there and all that's inside that building, not just the skating, but also the dance program and the ice skating school is also there, walking track. So a neat building and maybe a little history about a movie that you might know that was shot there as well. Let's move ahead to human resources. A couple updates here. The first is the police clerk position, still open, I understand.
It's still open. It'll be open all this week. Actually, it closes on the 2nd of January at 8 a.m. But I wouldn't wait till the 31st of December to apply if you're interested in applying for that. So you can go online to newhopemn.gov/jobs and that application will come up. If you have a little trouble finding that, you can always call City Hall and tell them you want to apply for the job and they'll help you get to that website.
All right, a couple final notes to pass along. One is police ride-alongs. Mayor, tell us what these are and how residents might have the opportunity to get involved in one.
Well, this again is our police wanting to do some community engagement any way they can. And so if you would like to have a ride along with one of our police officers, you can do that by going into the police website, NHPD, and going onto their website and indicating you want to ride along. If you can't get there, And sometimes I can't get there either. You can always call the non-emergency police line at the police department and ask them, and they'll show you how to get there, tell you how to get there, or they'll sign you up for a ride along. These ride alongs are free, and they're really quite interesting because I think people have the wrong idea of what our police officers are doing sometimes. I've done a couple of these ride alongs, and they're really interesting. Sometimes it's kind of boring, to be real honest. You just drive along and you see things, but there's no real bad stuff happening.
Right.
And we're hoping there's never any bad stuff happening.
Very true. Final note, we want to pass along something that is coming back in the city called the Good Citizenship Award. Tell us a little more about this history and also how people can get involved.
Well, we started this in 2011, and it was pretty active for 2-3 years, and then it just kind of died out. I think we just didn't talk about it enough. Well, it's coming back, and it should come back because we have a lot of people in the community that volunteer. They volunteer at the school, the church. Sometimes they just volunteer for their neighbors. Sometimes it's just they're doing stuff for the city. Now, the city council is not eligible for these, nor are we allowed to nominate anybody for these. So citizens have to nominate their neighbors. So they can go online again to newhopemn.gov and /citizenship award, Good Citizenship Award, and they'll get the form. They can also go to City Hall and get it. Or again, you can just call City Hall and they'll send you out one, or they'll put it online for you to get one. It's very easy to do, but it's a nice way to say thanks to that volunteer. So what they'll do is they'll get a cute little pin. They'll be recognized at a council meeting. And I just think they need to be thanked over and over and over for what they do. And I know they're out there. We just haven't been able to identify them yet.
All right, more updates on that as that process moves along. So hopefully you can get involved. And speaking of getting involved, this is again the magazine you want to take a look at, the New Hope Park and Rec Guide. A lot of fun and excitement in here throughout the winter season. And as we've talked about in the past, already working on the spring and summer versions. So be watching for that as well. Mayor, thanks once again for your time. Always a pleasure to talk with you, and stick with us. We've got some events coming up here in the city that you just might want to put on your calendar. Thanks, Mayor. Talk to you again next week.
See you in 2024, Dave.
Sounds great.
Bye-bye.
Learn more about the connection at ccxmedia.org and follow us on social media.